Hey guys, what's up? Alright, it's Double Deuce back with an update on the chopper build. Now you're going to see there's some differences I did here. If you look really close, you'll see them. Maybe not on camera, but I'll show you what I did and why I did it. So here we go. So you see there's a lot of junk here. And you'll see that I have a seat now that I had made out of foam. And I'll show you guys the seat. I just took some foam and just started carving it out. I made two seats. One was kind of a fat boy seat, and the other one is more of a chopper slimline seat. So the reason I changed the build was because this was a little bigger, which is good. When you build something, build it a little bigger. You can always make it smaller. I mean, to make it bigger again, it's kind of hard. But I had actually chopped 1 inch out of the wheelbase here forward, okay? And I chopped just about a ½ inch out of the top to bring everything lower because of the action figure that I had bought to put on here. Because you can build an RC car or a truck or whatever, and you can run it without an action figure. But to see a bike run with nobody on it, kind of useless, you know what I mean? Kind of cornball. But so what I did is I shortened everything and kind of cropped it down. I got my exhaust painted, and it's all finished here. If y'all be able to see that there you go. Get some light on it. Where it's all painted now, so it's a straight pipe. There's no mufflers on this thing, and making the seat smaller and tightening everything up, it's still just a little bit too big for the action figure that I had picked for this. Now I had picked several different ones, and but I think the one that I have for this you might like a lot. If anybody remembers, there used to be a magazine out years ago. It was called Easy Rider. And it was about babes and bikes, and it was like there were some really awesome, cool bikes back in the 70s. I can't remember when my last issue of Easy Rider was. I think it was like 1982 was the last one I had bought. But, so with all that, I had to kind of make the figure fit the bike. Now, here's some things that I've done to change this. Now underneath here, you'll notice I cut out like some sections of the frame here. That is because even though this is a really small battery, I need a place to put the battery. So I'm gonna have to build a little capture box here to hold the battery in. So it sits under the frame, nice and tight. And now my chain came, but my sprockets did not. Now this is an old sprocket I had on one of my old V8s that I made, and it's a little smaller than what I'm getting, and it's kind of crude because it's really old. But so the sprockets that I have, I am actually going to put, and I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, but this is the idea that I have in my head. I'm going to run the chain directly off the crankshaft to the sprocket. On the back of the sprocket here that I get, this is not the one, I'm going to put clutch shoes on here. And then I'm going to put a clutch bell attached to the hub. That way there, when this turns, it'll engage the clutch shoes on the hub back here. Okay. Now, the cool thing about a big, the sprocket I got is a lot bigger than this. So this will be my inertia for the engine. If it's running a direct drive off this to that chain to this will give me that inertia that I need to keep the engine running because I removed the flywheel. Now here's a little trick for you guys. This one-way bearing that I got here is actually from the FS 100. Okay, I sanded the shaft down just a little bit with some 150 grit sandpaper, just kind of tweaked it, and the bearing slid right over. Now It's nice and free, so it's a nice starter bearing. I did see on Sterling Kit on Facebook that somebody come up with a starter motor that will actually go into the housing, which this engine really needs. If they could do that, that would free up all the space here where we could come up with a clutch apparatus out here on the outside. The thing is with these engines, they were kind of, pumped out premature, you know what I mean? They got them running, they had trouble with the starter bearings and all that. And if you've seen my last video with the one-way bearing, adapter was on the flywheel here, you had to tilt it because the bearing would wipe out the first couple of tries, right? But now what I've done is if you put a smaller kind of clutch or flywheel on this thing, or even a chain sprocket with the clutch back in the back, you can actually lower the motor down if you want. I can't do it on this build because I need a room for a battery, and I need room for servos. Now if you're going to make a display, that's easy. You just throw a battery on there, your CDI box, and that won't be a problem. So right now I'm still trying to fit things together. So I got a place for my battery. It's going to be under here. I do have a place for my CDI box, but I don't know. I need room. I need room to see if I'm going to have to make a jack shaft here off the engine to a chain. I don't know yet, because this is kind of a low RPM engine, and when you're using your RC car clutches and clutch bells, there goes the bearing, your clutch bells, they need a certain amount of revolutions to engage. Now, so I don't know how it's going to work out yet. I'm still in the larva stage. But so I cropped it all down, and I'm trying to make room for things. Now, one of my subscribers, and I'll put his name in the link below there, he come up with, he's seen a mistake I'd made on my forks. Okay, now if you know, the forks are a little different now. My pivot point was way forward, or way behind, I should say, so it flopped from left to right, and in my head I was thinking that would give it an easy steer, but what it did, it was actually throwing the center line of the bike off. So I had to make everything in line here. Everything's pretty much in line all the way up through the, your gooseneck here. And then I had to make some, some handlebars here that kind of tilt it back a little bit for my rider. So if you want, I'll show you the rider. My thoughts are I'm going to paint the bike pearl white and maybe a little gold, maybe a little red in there. The front wheel is actually going to be a clear disc, more of the, the wheel culture that's going on out in the world out there. I have not come up with any brakes for this thing yet, but I'm still working on that. But with further ado, one more thing before I get there. When you're running a CDI unit, okay, one of these, you have a lot of spark that's going on here, which will really mess with your electronics for your radio, your servo, and all that stuff. Here's a simple solution. When you put your CDI together, wrap it in aluminum foil, okay? Wrap your leads a certain distance out in aluminum foil, but separate them. Okay, so you're going to have two separate leads coming out of your, for 1 and 2 cylinders there. Okay, you can wrap them up probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches in aluminum foil over this whole thing. Just cover this whole thing in aluminum foil. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because what that does is when that thing's throwing spark, okay, it messes with the radio signal. And so this is where that wire braiding stuff's going to come in. Now I'm going to wrap my spark plug wires in this braided wire here as a coating to keep the spark shielded within this. Now on the early Corvettes back in the 60s, that had electronic ignition. Even my 69 convertible, that came with an electronic ignition on it, okay? For some reason, I don't know why they didn't do it then, but back in those days, they had everything shielded in like stainless steel coverings around the distributor and even the spark plug wires as they went down to the engine, because you would get this really crazy hum out of your radio, okay? Now, it was just non-stop annoying. And my Camaro, it had a transistorized ignition in the thing right from the factory with an AM FM 8-track, and it had this buzz going through it. So it tells me it was a last minute thought that they wanted to add this to the car, you know. But there was no shielding around the distributor on my Camaro, nothing. You know, it just had a distributor. And nowadays, if any of you guys have put in any of those HID headlights in your vehicles with the transformers, we did that on my son's Silverado SS truck. We put in the HID headlights and all that stuff, and the hum was coming through the radio. It was just horrible. Try listening to Biggie Smalls with a hum going on in the background when you're out partying. It just ruins the night, you know. Or Metallica, you know, or Slipknot. It's like you can crank Slipknot up enough to get rid of the hum, but you know, when you're trying to chill, that hum is just annoying. So if you shield your spark plug wires in this braided hose kit you can buy, you know, all over eBay. And I did a video on this before. Hold on. This is the kit right here. It is the Mr. Gasket Kit. It comes with all your different sizes here, you know, for your radiator hoses and vacuum hoses and all that. It was made more for eye candy, but I use them for a purpose to shield, you know, your electronic ignition signals. And it keeps them separated and it works great. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you my rider. So I don't know how you guys are going to take this. This could be a R-rated version, maybe. I don't know. But she's dressed, you know. So this is who I chose to cruise on my bike right here. So, you know, like I say, it's the easy rider trend. It's, you know, back in the 70s. I'll pay it forward. I know she looks a little small on there from this angle, but she does fit this bike pretty properly now. And so, you know, you don't want a big girl on your bike. You want a small girl. You know what I'm saying? I was going to do the Rambo guy, but at like almost $300 for a Rambo figure, no way, you know. So I figured, being I had the athletic pole in the background there from my prior history, this would go good on the bike. And even if she's not a rider, she's very formidable. You can actually have her lay out and give you, you know, a little eye candy there too. So, but it is what it is. But, so, this is where I've gotten with this. I do have an air cleaner coming for it. And my next mission on this bike will be fitting a chain and all the electronics in it and redoing the forks, because I do want to make a Springer front end on this. And this one here was just basically 20-minute hack together to give me a visual. So I'll spend 20 minutes to throw it in the garbage. But the Springer front end comes down and has a apparatus down here that rocks, okay? And then there's a second set of bars that comes clear back to the top again with a spring on the bottom and a spring on the top. So when it hits a bump, it actually uses that second rod on the pivot down there to give it that Springer nose on it, because it is a hardtail. So I have a funny feeling that this is going to be kind of a, if I drove the bike the way it is, I think I'm going to have some issues with it bouncing and falling over. And even though I'm trying to figure out an inertia weight here somewhere to put it in this thing somewhere, and I think I may have it with this. One of my other subscribers come up with, can you put like a gyro wheel inside the rim? And I thought about it, and I was like, That's a really good idea, because that'll keep it going straight. Now, when it comes to turning, you know, it could be a little difference there, but I haven't experimented with that yet, because this whole thing is like a brand new experience for me to build this. So, but anyways, if you guys like what you see, comment, like, share, subscribe if you want. Like I say, I put the new icon down below. If you want to help on the build, that's cool. You can throw a buck or two at me. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like up to you. I'm not asking for it. And you know, I'll give you a shout out when you do. And you know, we'll keep the builds going through bad times. That's the whole thing about bad times. Everybody band together. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, guys, Double Deuce signing out. Like, share, subscribe if you want. Tell your mother Happy Mother's Day. So, later. Peace.